Last night you probably looked at your phone right before bed. Then you lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling. Your mind kept racing. You checked the time. Then you checked it again. But the real answer for why this happens is far stranger than screen time or stress. Your ancestors didn't sleep the way you think they did. Not even close. For most of human history, the night looked nothing like 8 straight hours of silence. It looked like something almost nobody does anymore. And understanding it might explain why so many people today lie awake feeling broken. Start with a simple fact. Humans are the only primate that sleeps in one solid block. Every other primate species naps throughout the day and rests in shorter bursts through the night. Chimpanzees do it. Baboons do it. Even your closest evolutionary cousins do it. So why don't you? Neuroscientist Jerome Siegel at UCLA wanted to know the answer. He traveled with his team to study 3 of the last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth: the Hadza in Tanzania, the San in Namibia, and the Tsimane in Bolivia. These are groups with no electricity, no clocks, and no artificial light. If ancient sleep patterns survived anywhere, it would be here. What he found broke almost every assumption about natural sleep. These groups didn't go to bed at sunset. They stayed awake for hours after dark, often several hours. They didn't sleep 8 hours either. Average sleep time hovered closer to 6.5 hours a night. And strangest of all, they almost never napped. Here's the detail that should stop you. Insomnia, as a widespread complaint, barely exists in these societies. The Hadza don't have a word for it. Sleep researchers looked for it and mostly couldn't find it. So if the people living closest to how humans evolved aren't sleeping 8 uninterrupted hours and aren't lying awake anxious about sleep, what does that tell you? It tells you the modern obsession with a perfect, unbroken night might be the actual problem, not the solution. Go back further. Before electric light existed at all, the night was longer and darker than almost anyone alive today has ever experienced. Historian Roger Ekirch spent over a decade digging through diaries, court records, and medical texts from pre-industrial Europe. What he uncovered was a pattern that had almost completely vanished from cultural memory. People slept in 2 distinct phases. They called it first sleep and second sleep. You'd go to bed a couple of hours after dusk, sleep for 3 or 4 hours, then wake up. Not from disturbance, not from anxiety. This waking was expected, normal, built into the rhythm of the night. During that waking window, people didn't panic about being awake. They got up, they tended the fire, they talked with a partner, they prayed, some visited neighbors. Then after an hour or 2, they climbed back into bed for second sleep, which carried them through until morning. Ekirch found references to this 2-phase sleep pattern in hundreds of historical documents, spanning centuries and multiple countries. It wasn't rare, it was assumed. Then something changed. Cheap artificial light spread. Factory schedules demanded rigid shifts. Cities buzzed all night with gas lamps, then electric bulbs. The long, dark, unhurried night collapsed into something shorter and more controlled. Somewhere in that transition, segmented sleep quietly disappeared, and with it, the memory that waking in the night was ever normal. Now think about what happens when you wake up at 3 in the morning today. Your heart might race a little. You check the clock. You think, something is wrong with me. You reach for your phone, and the blue light convinces your brain it's time to be alert. You lie there calculating how many hours of sleep you have left, which only makes it harder to fall back asleep. But for most of human history, that exact waking moment was simply Tuesday. It wasn't a malfunction. It was the second half of a normal night. There's a biological reason your body might still want to do this. Harvard sleep researcher Charles Czeisler has spent decades studying circadian rhythms, the internal clock that governs when your body wants to be awake or asleep. In controlled experiments where subjects were kept in long periods of darkness, similar to a pre-industrial winter night, many of them spontaneously split into 2 sleep phases with a period of quiet wakefulness in between. Without instruction, without expectation, their bodies did it on their own. That's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Segmented sleep didn't need to be taught. It emerged, given enough darkness and enough time, without artificial light forcing the night into a shorter box. The human body seems to default toward it. So why does modern life demand one unbroken block instead? Mostly logistics. Alarm clocks, work shifts, school start times. Nobody designed a schedule around 2 sleep phases with a wakeful hour in the middle, because a 2-hour candlelit gap in the night doesn't fit neatly into an 8-hour workday. Efficiency won. Biology adapted, or tried to, and a lot of people ended up quietly struggling in the gap between what their body wants and what their calendar allows. This is the modern mismatch. Your genes were shaped over hundreds of thousands of years by firelight, darkness, and a slow, flexible night. Your daily schedule was shaped by factories that are barely 2 centuries old. Your body hasn't caught up, and it may never fully catch up, because the pressure to change happened far faster than evolution moves. Think about how differently you'd treat that 3 a.m. waking if you grew up believing it was normal. No panic, no phone, no spiral of anxious math about lost sleep hours. Just a quiet hour in the dark, maybe with your thoughts, maybe with a low light and a book, before drifting back down into a second calmer sleep. That's not a call to abandon modern life or throw out your alarm clock. Most people can't reorganize their entire schedule around a pattern from 300 years ago, and the hunter-gatherer groups Siegel studied still function well within a single, if imperfect, block of sleep most nights. But there's something worth sitting with here. The rigid belief that any nighttime waking equals failure. That belief is not ancient. It's recent. It's cultural. And for a lot of people, it might be manufacturing the very insomnia they're afraid of. Sleep researchers now sometimes describe this as sleep anxiety about sleep anxiety, a spiral where the fear of not sleeping becomes the very thing keeping you awake. Ekirch's Forgotten History and Czeisler's Darkness experiments both point toward the same quiet possibility. Waking in the night was never the enemy. The panic about waking in the night is the newer, stranger thing. So tonight, when you wake up at some unplaceable hour and the room is dark and quiet, consider a different story than the one you've been telling yourself. You are not broken. You are not failing at rest. You might simply be doing something your ancestors did for most of the time humans have existed, something that only recently got labeled as a problem. Last night you probably looked at your phone right before bed, worried about how little you'd sleep. Tonight, when you wake in the dark, you might just let yourself lie there instead. Not fighting the night, but remembering that some part of you has been here before, thousands of years before, waiting quietly for the fire to catch again.